Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been watching my YouTube
Yeah.
channel. Me and the legend, uh, Jason, the old millennial, will be reviewing the Simon Garfunkel's second album, "Sounds of Silence." You got anything to say before we review this album?
Yeah. So we covered this is the second album. We covered Wednesday morning 3 a.m., which we're both very positive on. But I feel like this definitely was a step up, even from that album, because it definitely went from folk album to now we're getting into more folk rock, I would say. And I really enjoyed that step up from the first one, and we get more Paul Simon written songs as well.
Yeah, it's much of a way big of a improvement from their first album. In my opinion, I it's my second favorite album, Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. But
Hmm.
objectively, this is a lot better than the last album. And First track on the album, "Sounds of Silence." What do you
I
think
know
of
we
it?
opened right with it. And we talked about this song the last time as well. Uh, the Sound of Silence, which is the name of the album. Which is weird. The album name is Sounds of Silence. Uh,
Yeah, it's not the "Sounds of Silence." I even put it in the review name, "Sounds of Silence."
but the song is called The Sound of Silence, I think. So, but obviously, you're hitting on this hit song. This was like the first hit song that they had that went number one, and they basically were like, "All right, let's get them back together and let's come up with an album because we got a hit song." And it's I said it last time, it's my favorite Simon Garfunkel song. It is just the perfect song for the harmonies between the two. They sound so great just from the very beginning of the song. Hello, Darkness, my old friend. I love that beginning with the guitar, the acoustic guitar picking, and those two voices. And it's just an amazing acoustic. Well, now this has electric to it as well and drums, but it's a great song, full of harmonies and great written lyrics.
Nice. Like I said in the last video, me and Jason and Garrett and Breyer we're 50-50 on on these versions.
Yeah.
Me and Breyer are the acoustic side. You and Garrett are the electric side, and
Mhm.
a good thing. But for the flow of this album, this version's a lot better. Like
Mhm.
this version suits the album better
Yeah.
than the Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. version. Like
Yeah.
if these two songs were swapped, it would have been a lot. It would have been terrible. Like the
Mm.
Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. version I prefer over this version, but it wouldn't have opened the album that well. It's a better side closer than a side opener. But this version opens up the album perfectly. Very upbeat for a very dark song, though.
Yeah.
That's my only gripe with the electric version, and that's the only thing that's really keeping it from being my favorite version of the song. Second song, though, "Leaves That Are Green." What do you think about it?
I thought this was a great second song from Sound Science. Another great acoustic guitar playing from Paul Simon. Great harmonies. It's a beautiful song. I really enjoyed this song.
Yeah, I quite like it. A lot of songs from this album were from Paul Simon's debut
Right.
album, the Paul Simon Songbook, which I really wanted that to be in my top 50 essentials albums list. But I'm like, I was telling myself, is this really essential?
Right. Right.
I want to pick to me what I consider to be very essential. Well, Paul Simon's Songbook is one of my favorite albums of all times. I wouldn't
Right.
consider it to be like essential. If you're into Simon and Garfunkel and you want to hear like what the Sounds of Silence songs would sound like if they were acoustic, this is a perfect look on it. And I'm going to tell you right now which ones were from Paul Simon's Songbook.
Oh, yeah.
Leave Better Green was one of them. Kathy's song is another one of them.
Yeah.
Uh, Most Peculiar Man is on there. I think April Come She Will is another one, and I'm a Rock. But
Okay.
most of these songs, I prefer the Paul Simon version. There are a couple of songs on the next album, Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, that were from the Paul Simon Songbook album, but A couple of them I do prefer the Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme versions of it. So I'm not completely biased on the Paul Simon Songbook album. But yeah, Leaves That Are Green is a great song, a great follow up, but it's just not one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But next song, Blessed. What do you think about that one?
Another really good song. Like this album starts really strong, in my opinion. Blessed's a little more upbeat kind of song, but I absolutely love again Garfunkel and Simon's voices together when they're singing that Blessed, and they go through. And it's interesting because it's another kind of religious type song because they're kind of sounds like they're going off of in the book of Matthew when Jesus gets on the Mount Sinai sermon. I think I might mess that up. Not Mount Sinai, but Sermon on the Mount. Sorry, when Jesus does the Sermon on the Mount, and he does the "Blessed are the meek, blessed are the poor, blessed are the humble." Anyway, so it's kind of going off of that, which I said the last album. There's a lot of religious themes through Wednesday morning, 3 a.m. And so it was interesting listening to this and going, they're getting some more religious themes in here, which I enjoyed. And overall, yeah, I thought it was a great song.
I really enjoyed this song. I think Garrett wasn't too crazy about it, which I understand. I can see why he wasn't as crazy about it, but I think it's one of the better songs on the album. I really like it. The harmonizing in the song. I love that little kind of spoken bit Simon does on in the middle where I don't know. I forgot the words of it, but like I think you know what I'm talking about, right? Where I forgot what he's saying, but there's like parts of the song where Paul Simon's sort of doing a spoken bit, and I quite like it. So
yeah,
thumbs up for me.
Yeah,
Kathy's song, which as I mentioned before was on Paul Simon's songbook. And before you tell me your opinions on it, my opinion on it is that I feel like it's just it's either the exact same take on the Paul Simon songbook album, or it's just another take because it's just Paul Simon singing on this song, I believe, and it's really good. But I wish that if it was just Paul Simon, they would have just picked the Paul Simon songbook version of it.
Okay. Yeah, this is just Paul Simon. I don't think Garfunkle sings on this song at all, which is kind of interesting. So it does feel like a Paul Simon, solo song that would have gone on some of the solo work. Him and the acoustic guitar, and his acoustic guitar playing just absolutely fantastic on here. The guitar picking here, and I absolutely love this song. It's one of the best Simon Garfunkel songs, I think. It's so beautiful. The melody is so beautiful. I mean, yeah, it's one of those songs that you marvel at the beauty of it. I think I love it. Kathy song.
Yeah. Next song on the album, Somewhere They Can't Find Me. Oh man, I love this track. Definitely a strong song on the album. I love the sort of Western feel of the song. I wish I would have heard a demo of it with just Paul Simon, because I would have loved to see how the song would have went from nothing to how crazy it is, because I would have just loved to hear like a all acoustic version of this album, because this album's more electric, like more especially compared to the last album, but this album's a lot more electric compared to the other one. And these songs fit the theme of the first song, Sounds of Silence, but I would have loved to hear like an all acoustic version of all these songs. Well, half of my wishes were granted when I found the Paul Simon Songbooks album. My wishes were half granted because a lot of the songs from this album were on there, and some of the songs from Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, Thyme are on there as well. But
okay,
I would have definitely loved to hear like an acoustic demo of Somewhere They Can't Find Me. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, this is a much different song to me than what I've been hearing from Simon Garfunkel up to this point. It felt like a rock song kind of to me. It had more of a rock feel to it than any of the other ones, and which is interesting because I don't think of Simon Garfunkel so much as rock. I think more of the acoustic guitar, harmony songs, more ballad types. But this is definitely more of the upbeat rock songs on the album. And it's got a cool sound to it. The guitar, how it begins with that melody, the dun 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 dun, like the way they do that. It's a cool sound. Part of me is like, this feels like this could be like one another like a rock band song, like the Hollies could have taken this, the Byrds could have taken the song, the Beatles could have taken the song and made more of a rock song out of it, and it'd been awesome. Like I would love to hear a cover from like one of those bands on this song, in my opinion.
Oh
It
man,
feels like it fits with them better than Simon
yeah,
Garfunkel, but I don't know.
that makes sense. Yeah, I would have loved to hear the Hollies do something like this. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, that's a good idea, and I would have also loved to hear Graham Nash and like Graham Nash do like an acoustic version of "Blessed" because they kind of did a
yeah,
religious song on the third album, the very
yeah,
last day, and I would
yeah.
have loved to hear them do like "Blessed" or something like that. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I feel like some of these upbeat songs could have worked well with some of those other '60s bands. Yeah,
Next song though, which we could both agree it's the weakest track. I mean, I think we could all agree on is the weakest track on the album, Angie. And before you say anything, this is just the last track, but just do 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 do. It's like instrumental and it's all right, but yeah, it's to me it's the weakest track on the album.
it sounds like the last song, isn't? Is it the last song? Just
It
instrumental.
is the last song, but
Okay.
it's just instrumental, really. I
Yeah, it
don't.
was strange when we got to this, and I'm like, oh, did I accidentally play the same song over again? And then I realized, oh, it's the instrumental version, which Paul Simon, the acoustic guitar playing is just really, really good. He's playing a couple of solo licks on here as well. Yeah, his guitar playing sounds really good on here. So it's a nice little uh, instrumental number.
But the biggest problem with this is that it's like right after the other song though.
Yeah,
The biggest problem is that they had very little time to make this album, so
yeah,
they're
yeah. They
them
kind of,
perfecting the track listing and then making the tracks, which is the main reason why a lot of these songs from Paul Simon's songbook end up being on here because
yeah,
they didn't have enough time to perfect the track listing or make a proper track listing, so they end up doing all that. And
yeah,
I would have loved to actually hear like this is why when I ranked it as their lowest album, that's like one of the main reasons why I ranked it as their lowest album. It's like it's their most inconsistent album out of all five of them. I'm not saying it's a bad album at all. It's an amazing album. I mean, for their weakest album, I mean, it's great for a weakest album.
oh yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, some people will kill to say this is their best album, let alone their weakest album. you know.
Yeah,
Next track on side two, because that ends off side one. Side two opens up with a very dark song called Richard
yeah,
Corey. I work in his factory. Oh, I wish I could be Richard Corey. And then it ends off on him killing himself. And I'm just like, gosh darn. like this has to be the most darkest
yeah,
Simon Garfunkel. Like this and the next track are their darkest songs. And
yeah,
it's so messed up, especially this track. Like I never thought in a million years that I was ever gonna hear and put a bullet through his head. Like I never thought I was ever gonna hear that coming out of Paul Simon's mouth.
yeah, yeah,
It it's crazy. It's really crazy. And I love the drum fill. I forgot the name of the construction crew drummer, but I love the part where it's like I love that little drum fill.
yeah,
After that, it's crazy. Like when I first heard it, I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics. I'm like, oh, this is nice. I like the feel of the song. And then when I heard the lyrics and I heard that part where it's like he's like he put a bullet through his head. I'm like, what? Damn. So I don't know. It's just crazy. What do you think about it though?
yeah. I'm not as big. I'm not very big on this song, to be honest. It's another kind of more rock song for them. And it didn't fit. It didn't fit with Simon Garfunkel quite as well as some of the other stuff on here, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean it's just okay, but it's not one I really go back to.
I mean, it's very dark, so
Yeah, it's
don't
pretty dark.
blame you. Next song on the album, "A Most Peculiar Man." Oh man, this song is another very dark song for them.
Hmm.
I know the whole I know some of the most of the song, like a lot of the songs on here. I know it's called "The Sounds of Silence."
Yeah,
What do you expect? The song itself is very dark, but
dark.
these
Yeah,
two
yeah,
songs in particular, like I always get like the worst feeling when I listen to these two songs, and especially "A Most Peculiar Man." Like there's a part of the song where he mentions the most peculiar man goes into his car and puts the gas on and he kills himself, and I'm like, man, that's very brutal. Like I mean, like how many artists of this time were talking about suicide like this? Like, not
Right.
very much. And I gotta give Simon and Garfunkel props for doing that, and they do a good job at dealing with it, and I think it's great.
I really like the song. It's another kind of acoustic song that I really like, more slower down. I always love the more slower ballad acoustic songs from Simon Garfunkel. So this definitely was one that I think it's not one of their big ones, but yet it's a good middle of the road kind of song for them. I mean, it's still a good song, but it's not one of their big hits. But yet I like it. I like the album. It needs a couple big hits, but it needs a couple like hidden gems in there as well, and so I like it.
Yeah. I mean, the only two big hits on the album is "Sounds of Silence" and the last track, but
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
yeah,
April Come She Will. I quite like it a lot. I mean, after those two really brutal songs about suicide, I mean, we need a little. I mean, we
yeah,
need a little something to take our minds off of it. It's still very slow.
yeah.
I do prefer the Simon songbook version of it, but this is still a great song off this album. What do you think?
I agree. I really like the song. It's another top song for me. Again, it sounds like more of a Paul Simon solo song than anything else. So it doesn't surprise me that was on his solo album because he definitely could do this. Yeah, he does this just by himself pretty much, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a really nice melody and a good acoustic guitar playing as well. So yeah, I really liked it.
Well, after those three somewhat depressing sounding songs, we finally get a upbeat song. We've
Yeah,
got a groovy thing going, and after having those three extremely dark songs, it's like, oh, finally, like we have something to work with, like something that doesn't make me want to, doesn't make me want to tear up. It's a lot more upbeat, and I like it. It suits it. I mean, on its own, it's not the best song they could produce, but in the context of the album, it fits after those three
mm-hmm.
two extremely dark songs and one really slow song. So I quite
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah, it's another one. It's okay. I feel like again, I say this again. I feel like I'd love to hear more of a rock band take the song on from that '60s period, like I said, the Hollies, the Byrds, Buffalo Springfield, the Zombies, or something like that. Uh, pick whatever you want, because I feel like this could have been. I don't know if could have done better with a more rocker band than just Simon Garfunkel. It's an okay song. It's not bad at all, but it just doesn't fit Simon Garfunkel what I think about him as much. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this would have been a pretty good this would have been a pretty good song if I mean, you ever heard Red Rubber Ball by
Yes, I love that song.
that was a Paul Simon song, and
Really?
he just gave it to the
Wow.
Circles, and he
Yeah.
could have did that with We Got a Good Groovy Thing Going. They could have
Yeah.
gave it he could have gave it to the Circles as well. That could have been a
Yeah.
pretty big hit for them as well.
Yeah.
But it works as a Simon and Garfunkel song, but in the context of the album, it's a lot better if you're putting the context of the album because they have three really slower songs, especially the first two about suicide. And
Yeah.
I actually would have preferred it if it was switched around the two songs. Like you would have had the two suicide songs, and you would have had this upbeat song to get your mind out of suicide. But the next track on the album, which is the second big hit off the album,
Yeah.
"I Am a Rock."
Yeah.
What do you think
Absolutely
about that?
fantastic song. Yeah, one of their greats, for sure. It's a big hit for a reason. Yeah, it's a kind of more upbeat song, but I love it, the upbeatness of it. And again, they sound so great together. Some great acoustic guitar playing. I love that when they say, you know, and a rock
Feels
feels
no
pain,
pain,
and
and
I never
one
cry.
never cries.
And then they do that bum bum da dun da dun da dun bum bum. Oh, I love that. Like, it's like such an awesome way they do that guitar there. But yeah, it's an amazing song.
I love it. What a amazing way to end off the album. I do prefer the Hollies version.
Oh
I
yeah.
like. My favorite version isn't the Hollies version, but if I had to pick between the Simon and Garfunkel version or the Hollies version, I will give the Hollies the bump on it.
Hmm.
But even Paul Simon gave a great not review, but he even was like, yeah, great version.
Yeah.
He gave a good nod to it, and I respect that. And what a what an amazing way to end off the album.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah. Great
five,
opener, great closer. Yeah.
yep, great bookends. Bookends.
Exactly.
uh, uh, 5 favorite songs and a dishonorable song and an album rating.
All right. Number 5, I'm gonna go with Leaves That Are Green. I really enjoyed that one. Number 4, April Come She Will. Number 3, Kathy Song. Beautiful. Then I'm going with the 2 big hits, but I love them. I'm a Rock at number 2. Then, like I said, Sound of Silence is my ultimate favorite song from Simon Garfunkel. So that's going to be number 1. Number 1 on this album. Number 1 on the last album. Whatever album you want to put it on, it's number 1. Yeah, I think I'd take off Angie. I guess I don't know if we need that one, but I don't know. I always say that though about instrumentals. I'm not big on instrumentals. Because I just love it when they're singing and vocals is a very important part to me. Song and songwriting, and so you take those 2 out, but it's not a bad instrumental though. It's pretty good, but yeah, my rating is 9 out of 10. I think this is an absolutely fantastic album, one that I need to get on my vinyl or CDs for sure.
Yep, essential for sure. Well, I wouldn't put it in my 50 essentials album list like we did.
It was an honorable mention. It barely made it, almost made it in there, but I didn't get to it.
Yep. My 5 favorite songs. Number 5, The Sounds of Silence electric version. Number 4, I'm a Rock. Yeah, I actually have the hits on the top 5. And they're well deserved. They're hits for a reason. They're amazing. They don't get hit. They don't get overplayed on the radio where I live, so then they're not ruined for me. So I love the track. So bravo to radio not killing these songs.
Yeah.
Number 3, Blessed. Number 2, what's up?
Yeah, Blessed was great. I didn't get in my top 5, but that's a great one.
Yeah. Number 2, I'm gonna give it to Richard Corey. And my favorite song on the album, Somewhere They Can't Find Me.
Somewhere They Can't Find Me. Wow. So one of the more obscure ones.
Yeah. And it's crazy. And my least favorite one is the one that sounds just like my favorite one. That's gonna be number 1. I mean that's gonna be the dishonorable track. And album rating 9.5 out of 10. And it would be a 10 out of 10 record, but my biggest gripe is the not so good track listing and the sort of rush feel of it.
Yeah.
Those two things kind of bring the album down a little bit.
Yeah. Because to me, the first 4 songs are so. I mean, that really hits the album.
Yeah.
On a really good note.
I mean, besides the bookends is great, but
yeah.
The besides that, the track listing has a lot to be desired. And that's basically wraps things up. Anything else you would like to add before I click end broadcast?
No, but say that this is 9 out of 10, and I think the albums just get even better from here. So it's crazy.
Yeah, we get better from there. Parts of Today's Rosemary Time.
Yeah.
That would be the end. So